Devereaux Peters. More than anyone on our team has seen her share of adversity. Not one, but 2 knee surgeries, and she overcame great odds to get back to being the player we all knew she could be. She had a string of double-figure rebounding games this year and played with passion and confidence that the referees didn't appreciate quite as much as we did. But it was that passion that inspired our team to do great things. She's an amazing athlete, but an equally amazing person. I'm so glad I had the chance to really get to know her over the past few years. I'm going to miss her honesty and her swagger. She always keeps it real. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome senior forward, Devereaux Peters.
Thank you to Jen, Masters, Jill, Chad, Keith, Kayla, all the supporting staff that my fellow seniors mentioned. I'm pretty sure we covered everybody, but I want to thank you guys for all that you guys do for us, and you really mean a lot and make this program what it is. Start off with Craig. Craig, you've been a great motivator for me and throughout my career here and throughout the season, and I just love that I always know no matter what time it is, 5 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, I can go in the weight room and you will make me laugh or smile and really make me enjoy my time in there no matter how tired I get or how hard I'm working. You know, it was rough to get this bodybuilder shape that I'm in right now. It was a long road. Believe it or not, I came in benching a stretch stick. I could not actually lift up the bar. So it's been a long time coming since then. I appreciate everything that you've done for me as well as the team. Steph, I know I give you a hard time and make fun of you all day long, and you take it like a champ, but I really appreciate everything that you've done for the team, and I know that a lot of the stuff we do and the activities start off with you and your ideas, and a lot of the experiences I've had here were because of you, so I appreciate that. And that's about as far as you're going to get. Back to the jokes now. Angie, you were my coach when I first came here 18 years ago, and you started me off. You started me off and just turning me into the post player that I've become now, and everything to what you do now, and how all the film, all the clips, all the files you clipped up for me so I can learn from my mistakes, and all of the DVDs you've given out. Thank you for that and all that you've done for us. And if there is anybody that I need to thank, give credit for standing here right now, it is you. And I mean that literally, because I feel like if it weren't for you, I'd probably be up here in a wheelchair. Just all that you've done in my rehab and getting me back to where I am right now and past where I was playing. You took me to all the MRIs and the doctor's appointments and fussed at my dad when necessary and going back and forth. And I know it was tough being that most of my doctors were in Chicago, but you made it work no matter what the situation was and got me back in the court, and I really thank you for that. Coach Sip, back in the wing days when I was classified as a wing for a little bit, I got tossed around as positions early on in my career. Thank you for treating me just like everybody else. You never gave me any excuses and put in the extra time, even though my skill set wasn't the same as the other wings, and put in the extra work to make sure my jumper was going down and gave me that confidence and to do everything that the wings did on the court, and I thank you for that and for accepting me into your group and taking me out on the dinners and everything that you did, so I appreciate that. CO. Man, I remember when I first found out that you were come here. Sky used to talk about you all the time, and I called Sherelle and Talia, and they told me, asked me how it was going with you, and I was like, she's real cool, we've talked, and it's been fine, and they were like, yeah, but wait till you get on the court, she is a whole different personality. And Lord knows I learned that firsthand. Just from the first practice, and you would chew me out, and I could not get away with anything that I used to be able to get away with Coach, because she never yells at me, but you never let me get away with any of the small stuff. You always made me take responsibility and hold myself accountable for everything that I was doing up court, and I appreciate you for that. You've really pushed me past any experience that any point that I thought I would have achieved, and pushed me outside of my comfort zone, and brought my game to great heights. And I really appreciate you making me your personal project. And I just love our relationship, and how you would eat me up one day in practice, and I'd be so angry that I wouldn't talk to you for the rest of the day. And then I would come to practice the next day, and you would just push me and be like, "You still mad at me?" I'd be like, "Nah, I'm good." And we'd be right back in the same position that we were in. So I love our relationship that we have, and I hope it continues even after I leave. Neil. Oh, God, Neil. For those of you who don't know, I was actually recruited by Coquise, and she left when I got here. When she called me and told me she left, I cried. I was miserable, and I was really upset. But I'm a strong believer in everything happens for a reason, and if Queese hadn't left, I wouldn't have met you, Neil. And honestly, words really can't express how much you've meant to me these past 5 years. We came in together, and you've seen me grow as a player and helped me grow as a person, and I've seen how you've changed from the joking around coach when you first got here to the serious, intense coach that you've become now. And just how much, all that you've done for me, freshman year, spending 90% of my time at your house or in your office, because I would say that I didn't want to be bothered with people, when actuality I really didn't have that many friends, and you were the only person I could hang out with. I was a late bloomer. But I really appreciate it. I knew that I could come to you for anything. If I couldn't talk to coach or my parents or my friends, I could always come to you and come in your office and talk to you about anything I needed to, and you would give me the real answer and fix whatever problem I was having. And honestly, I really don't think that I would be at this point right now if it weren't for you and all the talks we had after my knee surgeries, and during the lowest point in really my life. I always could come to you and talk, and you just completely understood what I was going through mentally, and what you needed to say to get me back. You made sure I stayed afloat through in those couple years that I was going through my rehab, and times when I really could have been way more depressed than I actually was, and you really kept my spirits up and made it clear that all that was happening for a reason, and that something good was going to come of it, and luckily something did. And so I really don't think that I could have got through that time without you. I really honestly think I would have quit basketball. So I thank you for that. I love you to death, and I appreciate all that you've done for me in these 5 years. Coach McGraw, oh man, the person that made everything possible for us here. I remember when I was in high school, before games, when my dad knew that a coach was coming to the game, in particular you, he would pull me aside before the game or call me or text me and be like, "All right, don't show any emotion, keep your attitude to yourself, don't get frustrated." And I used to get so mad at him, and I would be like, "No, I'm going to do what I do, and they need to know what they're getting into if they're going to offer me. I'm not one to front. I'm going to keep it real, so, they need to know what they're getting into when I come to the school." And throughout all the frustration in my files, you saw past that and just really had a vision of me that I didn't even have of myself. And it started freshman year when I got on campus with those 5-minute meetings once a week that all the freshmen had to do. But for some reason, I was the only one that it continued throughout my 5 years. It started off being the most miserable 10 minutes of my life, because they were never actually 5 minutes, let me just tell you that. She called them 5 minutes, but usually ended up being 10, 15 minutes at first. Miserable. It was like pulling teeth, her asking me all these questions and me thinking the shortest answer possible to give her, to eventually, like my junior year, I would lie to Brittany and Becca and act like she was forcing me when really I was going in at my own will. And then finally, senior year, to the point where I actually have to remind you about our meetings because you don't have that much time for a meeting anymore, being a big Hall of Fame and Final Four coach and all. It's been a long road, but you've believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself, and made sure I got to the point that you always visioned I would be. So I thank you for that. And honestly, being a senior, you go into a year like this thinking that you want to get all the things you want to accomplish and everything you want to do personally. It's your last year. Most people have like a selfish vision of what they want to do their senior year, all the things they want to accomplish with their team, get a national championship. And I can honestly say that did not once cross my mind. I played every game this year for you, and just to be able to talk smack to the other coaches, even if it was in the comfort of our 5-minute meetings and not to their faces, just because you're such a respectable woman, you would never say anything to the coaches or in the press. And I just wanted to be able to win those games for you, just so that you could at least have that in your repertoire, and you could be like, Gino, yes, I beat you in the Final Four twice. Yes. And when Gino and Agnes would talk about how we were selfish and we would run up the scores, you had those wins under your belt, and when all these coaches would talk smack, all you had to do was look at the win sheet and look at how you beat Tennessee and how we beat UConn and how we beat Maryland and Coach Freeze, and just how much all the other coaches talk about their team and how they talk about our team in such a disrespectful way, and you stay respectful throughout all of that, and I really admire that about you. But now you don't really have to talk smack. You just be like, I beat you, so now what? Say something else. So thank you for that, everything you've done for me and making this opportunity a reality for me. Yeah, I love you for that. To the team and the managers, I love you guys. This has by far been the best team that I have played on since I've been here. I love you guys to death, and I seriously am really happy with the relationship I've built with each and every one of you, and I'm really glad that I've known you. To the fans, I thank all of you for all of your support throughout the years, and the candy when I was injured, and the cards, the notes, reminded me how dumb my fouls were, everything that you guys have done. I appreciate that, and you're what makes this team so great. Last but not least, my family. I thank you all for supporting me throughout this. My mom for birthing me and making me tall and skinny with a 77-inch wingspan. My dad for getting me into sports, which looking back at it now probably means that he wanted a boy, but whatever. I guess it all worked out for good. And making it to all my games, no matter where I play, he's always there, and you always make it, whether it be in Denver, Maryland, California, China, you're always there, and I know there's always a familiar face in the stands. And lastly, my brother, I appreciate all that you've done. You don't get a lot of credit, but you have to miss out on a lot of your high school and your activities, and I know it sucks being in the hotel by yourself for weekends at a time, being bored, but I appreciate all you've done for me and your support as well. These have been the most amazing 5 years of my life, and honestly, I wouldn't trade it for the world. And if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't trade anything. And so, thank you.